Michael, welcome to Stoke City.
Thanks very much.
I
Thank
would
you.
imagine your feet haven't touched the floor in the last 2 or 3 weeks. How would you describe this phase of your career?
Well, the last 2 or 3 weeks has been, it's been a little bit intense. This is the first time I've been at the stadium, for example. But it's been great. You know, obviously it's very rarely there's an ideal timing situation in football, and when the opportunity came to discuss the vacancy at Stoke, it was a job that was very attractive to me, and having made the decision and taken the job, then it was important that I finished the last 2 games for Northern Ireland as well. That was an important thing for me to do, and so it was a great start for us at Barnsley. 1 day's training. The team have been left in good hands, and since I was away, and then we've been in since Wednesday, so we've had 3 days good preparation for the game tomorrow.
How long has this been an ambition of yours to actually manage in the English League?
It's always been there. I've had opportunities in the 8 years that I was at Northern Ireland, and more often than not I felt it wasn't right. The club, for one reason or another, wasn't the right club for me at that time, but Stoke was always a club that I suppose I kept an eye on, to be honest. You know, the stability of the club, the ownership model of the club, the size of the club as well, and knowing the location, the facilities and everything which is attached to this club make it an extremely attractive job. So it's a great opportunity for me, one that I intend to grasp with both hands and do everything possible to make a success of.
You mentioned the stability, but in the last 2 years, Paul Lambert has been and gone, Gary Rowett, Nathan Jones. Does that worry you, Michael?
No, it doesn't. I know when I come into club football, it's a more volatile environment than international football. Typically in international football, you tend to get a campaign which stretches over 15 months, but equally you tend to be in the job for anywhere between 18 months to 2 years. And but I left a very stable situation. I had a contract for another 4 years with the Irish Football Association, so it wasn't a decision that I took lightly. But again, whilst there's been changes in managers here, there's a lot of stability in the club in terms of the structure and the ownership of the club, and that was a big thing for me. I have enough belief in myself that I can come in here and do the job that obviously the owners believe that I can do, given obviously they presented me with the opportunity.
What targets and objectives have the owners set for you? Has relegation been mentioned between you and the board?
I think, of course, it's discussed when at the time you're bottom of the league. It would be foolhardy not to discuss that. It's obviously something that no one wants to happen, but I think you have to be aware of it, and it's very important that the players recognise that whilst we had a good positive result in Barnsley, it was one step in the right direction. We need to get momentum into the season, and we need to inject that in as soon as possible. You tend to do that by getting results at home, and that's what we aim to do tomorrow. And I believe that this club, we will climb the league. We will get possibly a more streamlined group of players than we currently have, and then we will be in a position in future down the line to obviously challenge to try and get promoted from this division.
What sort of team can a Stoke City fan expect from a Michael O'Neill's side?
Well, we had to pick a team last week with very little, or 2 weeks ago rather, with very little time spent with the players. We've obviously had a bit more time, but I like my team to play on the front foot. I like energy in my team, I like intensity in my team. In a 4-3-3 system, whatever that may be, or a 4-4-2 at times. So it will be, particularly here at home, I think the supporters want to see a team that's set up in a positive way and approaches the game in a positive way, and that's the message that we've hammered home to the players. I think we got that type of performance in Barnsley. I think from the off we were positive in a lot of the stuff that we did. Still areas that we can improve on, there's no doubt about that, but overall we were pleased with the reaction of the players. We're certainly pleased with the result. Always nice to score 4 goals, and we aim to put a similar if not better performance on tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome to your first home press conference.
Thank you.
You obviously had an instant impact with the small amount of time you had when we played at Barnsley. What have you been able to concentrate on since you've come back to the club, and how do you see things going forward?
I think the biggest thing for me is putting a real structure in the team that suits the players that we have here, and then over time developing a squad of players which is suited to play in that structure. I think at times we possibly have players in our squad at the minute are possibly not the system that I will play maybe isn't ideally suited to them. So over time that needs to be refined. But again, we will do a lot of specific work on the team. I think one thing international football teaches you over 8 years is that you have to prepare teams in a very short space of time. You're bringing players from all different clubs where they do different things at their club and are coached in a different way, and you have to get them thinking, and you have to get an alignment in your group and of players. So I think over the 8 years those skills I have developed and improved in my skills in doing that. So that'll be very important. The players already have seen in the short space of time how we want to work, very specific in how we work as well, and hopefully that leads to confidence, belief and structure in the team that helps us get the results and obviously move up the league.
Given that we're in the club are in the position they're in because we're obviously in the relegation zone at the moment, and one of the major problems we've had is not being able to put together a good run consistently over the last 12 months. Conversely, if you go in this league on a run of 6 or 7 matches unbeaten, you can actually climb the table. You must be looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, totally. That is very much the objective. A win at Barnsley is great, but it has real significance if you follow up with a win in the next game at home to Wigan, and then subsequently you look at the next game, and that's where you get that continuity. You get that consistency in team selection as well is very important. You do have to manage the players in terms of the physical demands of the championship, but I know from my experience, certainly in international football, there's the benefit of being able to pick a consistent team is hugely advantageous to getting momentum and getting results in a positive way. So you're 100% correct in what you say, that whilst we're obviously in a situation now where we're certainly looking over our shoulder, we have to get to a position where we're looking ahead and make sure that we get that consistency in the team, that consistency of performance, and with hopefully the result we saw in Barnsley, that belief, so that we'll get a team that possibly here has not played particularly well at home, that they'll come into this game tomorrow and have a greater belief and a bit more freedom in how they intend to play.
You've just had 3 very tough games in a matter of a week, and now you're looking forward to another week where we play tomorrow at Cardiff on Tuesday and then follow up with another home match. How tired are you?
Yeah, it has been demanding. The second half in Frankfurt was particularly long, so it was. That's the nature of international football. People have said to me how you will deal with the championship, but I don't think, as difficult as the championship is, I don't think you get a double header like the Netherlands and Germany in there. So having gone through that and had the experience of having to play double headers in international football for a long period of time with a lot of pressure and a lot of focus on the results, because there's no room for error. Obviously you only have sometimes 8 or 10 games for qualification. I look forward to the challenge. I've got good people around me, good staff, everyone at the club has been extremely supportive, good group of players. I think the players have responded very well in the short space of time, and we need to build on that. So I'll be fine. I'm looking forward to getting settled in the area, and as I say, my focus is obviously on moving the team forward.
How are we injury wise, and with everybody coming back from international games, and we've had Peter Thibault on a fairly long injury, how are we looking for Saturday?
We've 1 or 2 little doubts. Peter is one of those. We'll see how he is in the morning. Sam Clucas is another, so we have to just monitor how Sam is in the morning also. Ryan Shawcross is making good progress in terms of he played 90 minutes on Tuesday, and albeit in a less demanding environment, and possibly needs a little bit more before we make a decision on him. But other than that, it's fairly good. One of the issues we have, is, if the truth be told, is we probably have too many players, and that makes it slightly difficult to keep everyone involved. We've tried to do that, But again, the injury list is clearing up. The people who have been injured, and that's good, because we come into a series, as you rightly say, where we're going to go Tuesday, Saturday. I think we have a full week, and then we go into quite a demanding period up to Christmas. So whilst the squad is big, there will be opportunities for players, and certainly in the next run of games.
And we're coming towards the January transfer window, and you might be able to trim and change the squad in that time. Has there been any mention of financial fair play kicking in with transfers coming in and out to you?
Not in the 2 days that I've been here yet. Maybe on day 3 we'll get to that. But yeah, I think obviously I'm aware of that situation, and the board have made me aware of that situation, and I understand the parameters that the club has to work in. I think that there's a lot about this club, which is Premier League. There's no doubt about that. But equally, we have to manage the club and make the club efficient in the Championship. Was very important for me. We're probably not operating as efficiently as we could, and that's so we must make sure. If January gives us the opportunity to add to that efficiency in terms of the playing staff and possibly players leaving, then that's what we'll intend to do. At this minute in time, the players have to be focused on doing the best they can for Stoke City, because they have a responsibility. The club is in the position they're in, and players like coaches and managers have a responsibility as well. And so I think it's important that players recognise that they're at an excellent club, albeit it's not in the position possibly that they thought it would be when they signed for this club, but equally they have a responsibility to move the club forward as well.
Last one from me. You've got players out on loan.
Mm-hmm.
There's rumours about Josh Tyman, Thibaut Verlinden coming back. Do you want to enlighten anybody on that, or are you still not decided?
We're still not decided on that. I do think there's a little bit of an imbalance in the squad. There's a shortage of wide players in the squad, there's no doubt about that. So certainly the players that you mentioned come into that category. One of the problems we've had in the short time that we've been here is being able to get some of the younger players around the squad, because the numbers is high. I would like to try and in the next few weeks leading up to January get some of the younger players around the first team a bit more. I know there's a lot of talent within that group as well, so it'll just be a little bit of a balancing act, and we will have to make decisions on players going forward, and possibly we'll have to make decisions that will be in the benefit of the group rather than possibly the individual. We just, without having players possibly not having a lot of opportunities to play, and but that's the nature of this division, and it's the nature of where this club at this minute in time. And I think we will have to make quick decisions that for the benefit of the squad, the benefit of the team, and obviously the benefit of the club.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Michael, you've joined one of the most busy times at Stoke. There's four home games every 3 weeks, 7 games in the next month, and all against bottom half sides. Would you say this part of the season is the most crucial part of the season?
Well, certainly is for me, having come in, and I can't do anything, obviously, what's going on in the past. I think, look, when you're in our position, the next game is the most important game, simple as that. So whilst we can look ahead at, like anything, you look at fixtures, and supporters look at fixtures and they think, well, we could get 3 points there, we could get 3 points there. I think one thing the Championship has is that certainly anyone is capable of beating anyone else, and whilst teams, possibly we play teams who are closer to us and in around us, could be perceived as more straightforward games, that won't be the case. I think the games will prove as equally difficult, because those teams have the same objective as us, to obviously get into a more comfortable position in the league. But I think you're right, this is crucial. The lead up to the 7 games, as you talk about leading in the next few weeks, will be crucial, because it will give me a real time to be able to assess where the club is, where the squad is, and obviously what decisions we have to make around the squad when the transfer window opens. So it's a big 7 weeks for the team, but equally it's a big 7 weeks for the players as well, and that's the message, obviously, that we will be, rather 7 games or around 7 weeks, that's the message we'll be hammering home to them in terms of, on a daily basis, that the significance of, as I talked about earlier, getting that momentum into a run of games.
So very busy. no time for Christmas shopping then.
No, I'll have to leave that. Online, I think, will be the option for that. Vouchers, maybe.
Okay, folks, we'll go through and do the radios, then we'll do the
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks very much. Thank you.